The unexpected arrival. The Galactic Institute of Advanced Studies prided itself on being the premier center of learning in the known universe. Its sprawling campus on the planet Zenith was a marvel of alien architecture, with soaring crystalline spires and bioorganic structures that pulsed with life. Students from 1,000 worlds came here to expand their knowledge and push the boundaries of science. Professor Zigzags, a respected Zenothian scholar with iridescent scales and multiple eye stalks, floated serenely through the grand atrium. Today was an important day, the arrival of this cycle's new students. As Dean of Phenobiology, it fell to Zigzags to welcome the most promising young minds from across the galaxy. The professor's assistant, Blorp, a gelatinous being from the methane swamps of Bluepeter, burbled excitedly. "The transport ships are beginning to dock, Professor. Shall we head to the arrival bay?" Zigzags's eye stalks swiveled in agreement. "Indeed, Blorp, let us greet our new scholars." As they made their way to the docking area, neither could have predicted the chaos that was about to unfold. The first ships touched down, disgorging a colorful array of alien life forms. Tentacled cephalons from the ocean world of Aquarius Prime, crystalline luminians whose bodies refracted light in dazzling patterns, even a group of gaseous nebulites, contained within specially designed environment suits. Zigzags began the welcoming speech, eye stalks pulsing with different colors to convey meaning to the diverse crowd. "Esteemed beings of the galaxy, welcome to the Galactic Institute of Advanced Studies. Here, you will push the boundaries of knowledge and—" The professor's words were cut short by a commotion near one of the smaller transport ships. A slim figure stumbled out, clearly disoriented. It was Bygdal, with a strange outer covering that seemed separate from its body. Pale skin, dark fur on top of its head, and only two eyes that didn't even move independently. Blorp's gelatinous form rippled with surprise. "Professor, is that a human?" Zigzags's scales shifted to a deep purple of confusion. "Impossible. Humans are a pre-spaceflight species. They haven't even unified their own world, let alone joined the galactic community." Yet there was no denying the evidence before them. A human girl, no more than 18 Earth years old, stood blinking in the alien sunlight of Zenith. Her name was Sarah Chen, though no one present could have known that yet. Sarah looked around, her eyes wide with a mixture of wonder and fear. The last thing she remembered was falling asleep in her bed after a late-night study session for her college entrance exams. Now she was surrounded by creatures straight out of science fiction on a world that was definitely not Earth. Hello." Sarah's voice quavered slightly. "Can someone please tell me where I am?" The assembled aliens recoiled in surprise. Most had never heard a human voice before, and their universal translators struggled to interpret the unfamiliar language. Zigzags, ever the scientist, was the first to recover. The professor floated forward, eye stalks focused intently on Sarah. "Young human, you are at the Galactic Institute of Advanced Studies on the planet Zenith. The question is, how did you get here?" Sarah's mind reeled. Aliens, another planet, a Galactic Institute of Learning. It was too much to process all at once. I don't know," she stammered. "I was at home, on Earth, and then I woke up here." Murmurs rippled through the crowd of new students. Some were fascinated by the appearance of this primitive species. Others were wary, wondering if this was some kind of threat or invasion. Blorp oozed closer, curiosity overcoming caution. Fascinating. A spontaneous trans-spatial displacement, or perhaps a malfunction in the quantum entanglement network. Sarah blinked, struggling to follow the complex scientific terms. "I'm sorry, I don't understand. Is this real? Am I dreaming?" Zigzags's scales shifted to a soothing blue pattern. "I assure you, young human, this is quite real. Though how you came to be here is a mystery we must solve. For now, let us get you somewhere more comfortable. The shock of interstellar travel can be disorienting for seasoned spacefarers, let alone someone from a pre-spaceflight world." As the professor guided Sarah away from the landing area, the other new students followed, a parade of alien curiosity. News of the humans' arrival spread quickly through the campus. Within hours, scientists from every department were clamoring for a chance to study this unexpected visitor. In a private chamber designed to accommodate a variety of life forms, Sarah sat on what she assumed was meant to be a chair, though it pulsed slightly beneath her. Zigzags floated nearby, while Blork took notes on a holographic display. Now then, Zigzags began. Let's start with the basics. What is your name? Sarah. Sarah Chen, she replied, still feeling overwhelmed but beginning to adapt to the strange situation. Sarah Chen, Zigzags repeated, the name sounding odd in the professor's multi-toned voice. And you say you have no recollection of how you arrived here? Sarah shook her head. No, I just woke up on that ship. The last thing I remember is being in my room on Earth. Blorp's gelatinous form rippled with excitement. Extraordinary. Professor, could this be evidence of naturally occurring wormholes? Or perhaps the humans have developed some form of unconscious psychic teleportation. Zigzags's eye stalks swiveled towards the assistant. Let's not jump to conclusions, Blorp. We need more data. Turning back to Sarah, the professor continued. Tell me, what level of scientific understanding does your species possess? Sarah thought for a moment. Well, we sent people to our moon and robots to other planets in our solar system. We're still working on a unified theory of physics, and we're just beginning to understand things like quantum mechanics and dark matter. The aliens exchanged looks of surprise. Remarkable, Zigzags mused. Your species is on the cusp of so many breakthroughs. Yet you're still centuries away from the level of technology that could have brought you here intentionally. A thought occurred to Sarah. Wait, if humans aren't part of this galactic community, how come you know about us? Zigzags's scales shimmered in what Sarah was beginning to recognize as amusement. My dear, there are entire departments dedicated to studying pre-spaceflight civilizations. Earth is considered a particularly fascinating case study, given your species' rapid technological advancement and unique cultural diversity. Sarah's mind was spinning with implications. So, we're like a big science experiment to you. Not at all, Zigzags assured her. We observe and study, but we have strict non-interference protocols. Your arrival here is unprecedented and, frankly, quite concerning from a regulatory standpoint. Blorp burbled in agreement. Oh yes, the Galactic Council will certainly have questions about this breach of quarantine. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Quarantine? Am I in danger here? Zigzags's eye stalks drooped slightly, a gesture Sarah interpreted as sympathy. Not danger, precisely, but your presence here is going to cause quite a stir. We'll need to run tests, try to figure out how you got here, and determine the best course of action. Best course of action, Sarah echoed, a hint of fear in her voice. Whether to return you to Earth, if possible, Zigzags explained. And if not, well, we'll cross that quantum bridge when we come to it. Sarah took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing thoughts. Okay, I can handle this. I always wanted to study abroad in college anyway. This is just a little further abroad than I expected. Zigzags's scales rippled with approval. That's the spirit, Sarah Chen. Your adaptability does your species credit. Now, I propose we begin with a full medical examination. Our xenobiology department has data on human physiology, but never before have we had the opportunity to study a living specimen. As Sarah followed Zigzags and Blorp out of the room, she couldn't help but feel a mix of terror and exhilaration. She was about to become the first human to truly experience life among the stars. Whatever had brought her here, whatever challenges lay ahead, she was determined to make the most of this impossible opportunity. Little did Sarah know, her arrival was about to set in motion a chain of events that would challenge the very foundations of the galactic order. The human capacity for innovation, for thinking outside established paradigms, was about to make waves in ways no one, human or alien, could have predicted. As the doors of the medical bay hissed open, Sarah squared her shoulders and stepped forward into her new life as an unwitting ambassador for humanity. The adventure was only just beginning. However, this also presents risks. Some of the more conservative elements in the Galactic Council fear the influence you might have. Humans are known for their unpredictability. There are concerns about introducing such a volatile element into our carefully balanced society. Sarah's heart sank. Are they going to send me back to Earth? Zigzag's scales shifted to a muted blue of uncertainty. That remains to be seen. For now, we've been granted permission to continue observing you. But be warned, there are those who will be watching very closely, looking for any sign that your presence here might be disruptive. As Sarah left the office, her mind was racing. She was determined to prove that humanity had something valuable to offer the galactic community. But how could she do that without inadvertently causing the very disruption they feared? Her musings were interrupted by an alert on the communal info screen in the hallway. A news broadcast showed images of a massive storm system on a distant planet. Evacuation efforts continue on Aquarius Prime as the methane hurricanes intensify. Scientists fear this may be the worst storm in the planet's recorded history. Sarah watched the swirling clouds with a mix of awe and concern. She was about to move on when a familiar burbling voice caught her attention. Oh, how dreadful! Blorp oozed up beside her, their gelatinous form rippling with distress. My cousin Blorp lives on Aquarius Prime. I hope they're all right. Sarah patted Blorp's pseudopod comfortingly, her mind already starting to work on the problem. Methane hurricanes. Something about that tickled a memory from her earth science classes. Blorp, she said slowly, an idea forming. Does anyone here study weather modification? Blorp's form rippled with surprise. Why, yes, there's an entire department dedicated to planetary climate control. Why do you ask? Sarah's eyes lit up with excitement. I think I might have an idea, but I'm going to need your help, and probably going to cause a bit of that disruption Professor Zigzags was worried about. As Sarah hurried off to the climate control department, Blorp trailing curiously behind her, she couldn't help but feel a thrill of anticipation. This was her chance to show what humans could do, to prove that sometimes a little disruption was exactly what was needed to solve big problems. Little did she know, her actions in the coming days would not only change the fate of Aquarius Prime, but would send shockwaves through the entire galactic community, forever altering the way they viewed humanity and their own long-held beliefs about the nature of progress and innovation. A brewing crisis. Sarah Chen raced through the gleaming corridors of the Galactic Institute, her mind buzzing with ideas. Blorp struggled to keep up, their gelatinous forms stretching and contracting rapidly. Sarah Chen, Blorp burbled anxiously, what exactly are you planning? Sarah skidded to a halt outside the Department of Planetary Climate Control, her eyes bright with determination. On Earth, we've been researching ways to dissipate hurricanes for decades. I think some of those principles might apply here, even with methane storms. The door slid open, revealing a vast chamber filled with swirling holograms of various planetary weather systems. Dr. Vortex, a nebulate scientist contained within a shimmering force field, floated over to greet them. Ah, the human student. Dr. Vortex's voice crackled like static. What brings you to our department? Sarah took a deep breath. Doctor, I have an idea about the storms on Aquarius Prime. I think we might be able to weaken them using a combination of cloud seeding and controlled detonations in the upper atmosphere. Dr. Vortex's gaseous form swirled with surprise. Controlled detonations? That sounds highly unorthodox. Exactly. Sarah exclaimed. That's why it might work. The conventional methods aren't making a dent in these storms, right? We need to think outside the box. For the next few hours, Sarah worked feverishly with Dr. Vortex and a team of climate scientists, explaining her ideas and adapting them to the alien technology available. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and soon even the most skeptical scientists were caught up in the excitement of trying something new. As they worked, news from Aquarius Prime grew increasingly dire. The methane hurricanes were intensifying, threatening to overwhelm the planet's protective dome cities. Time was running out. Finally, after countless simulations and refinements, they had a plan. Sarah stood before a holographic projection of Aquarius Prime, outlining the strategy to a room full of scientists and administrators. By dispersing these nanocoulants at precise altitudes, she explained, pointing to swirling patterns in the planet's atmosphere, we can create temperature differentials that should disrupt the storm's energy cycle. Then we use targeted sonic pulses, think of them as artificial thunder, to further destabilize the system. Professor Zigzag's eye stalks quivered with a mix of concern and admiration. It's a bold plan, Sarah Chen, but the risks are less than doing nothing, Sarah finished firmly. Every minute we hesitate, more lives are in danger. After a tense debate, the Institute's governing council agreed to attempt Sarah's plan. A fleet of weather control ships was dispatched to Aquarius Prime, laden with the necessary equipment. On the main view screen, tiny flecks of silver bloomed in the roiling methane clouds. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the storm patterns began to shift. It's working, Blort burbled excitedly. But their celebration was premature. As the sonic pulses began, something unexpected occurred. The storms didn't just weaken, they began to break apart in wildly unpredictable patterns. Alarms blared throughout the control room. Energy readings are off the charts. A scientist shouted, "The atmospheric composition is changing rapidly." Sarah watched in horror as the storms they'd sought to tame instead transformed into something entirely new. Brilliant flashes of light erupted across Aquarius Prime's atmosphere, accompanied by swirling vortexes of multicolored gas. "What's happening?" she'd asked, her voice barely a whisper. Dr. Vortex's form crackled with agitation. "The methane, it's undergoing some kind of catalytic reaction we've never seen before. The entire atmospheric chemistry is altering." For the next several hours, the control room was a flurry of activity as scientists struggled to understand and contain the unprecedented phenomenon. Sarah worked tirelessly alongside them, her guilt at the unintended consequences driving her to find a solution. As the crisis on Aquarius Prime unfolded, news spread quickly throughout the galactic community. Some hailed the dramatic atmospheric transformation as a miraculous event, while others pointed to it as proof of the dangers of allowing primitive species like humans to meddle in advanced affairs. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the storms on Aquarius Prime began to stabilize. But the planet that emerged from the chaos was forever changed. Where once there had been a toxic methane atmosphere, now swirled a complex mixture of gases that early readings suggested might be far more hospitable to a variety of life forms. As the immediate danger passed, Sarah found herself once again in Professor Zigzag's office. The alien administrator's scales shifted through a kaleidoscope of colors, indicating a complex mix of emotions. "Sarah Chen," Zigzag began, eye stalks focused intently on her, "your actions today have had far-reaching consequences. While the loss of life on Aquarius Prime was thankfully minimal, you've irreversibly altered an entire planet's ecosystem." Sarah nodded solemnly. "I know, Professor. I never meant for this to happen. I was just trying to help." "Indeed," Zigzag continued, "and therein lies the crux of the matter. Your human instinct to help, to take bold action in the face of crisis, is both your species' greatest strength and its most terrifying attribute." Before Sarah could respond, a priority communication flashed on Zigzag's console. The professor's eye stalks quivered as they read the message. "It seems," Zigzag said slowly, "that the Galactic Council has taken notice of today's events. They're convening an emergency session, and they've requested your presence." Sarah's heart raced. The Galactic Council, the ruling body of the entire known universe, wanted to see her. "Am I in trouble?" she asked, her voice small. Zigzag's scales shimmered with uncertainty. "That remains to be seen. But make no mistake, Sarah Chen, the consequences of your actions today will resonate far beyond Aquarius Prime. You've sparked a debate that may well shape the future of galactic society. As Sarah left the office, her mind reeling from the day's events, she couldn't help but feel a mix of pride and terror. She had come to the Galactic Institute as an accidental visitor, a curiosity to be studied. Now, for better or worse, she had become an agent of change on a cosmic scale. Lord met her in the hallway, their gelatinous form rippling with concern. "What will you do now, Sarah Chen?" Sarah squared her shoulders, a look of determination settling on her face. "The only thing I can do, Lorp. I'm going to face the Galactic Council and show them that humanity deserves a place among the stars, not just as observers, but as active participants in shaping the future of the galaxy." As Sarah prepared for her journey to the Galactic Council's headquarters, news of the transformation of Aquarius Prime spread like wildfire through the cosmos. Debates raged on thousands of worlds about the implications of this event. Was it a disaster or a miracle? A cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked innovation, or proof that fresh perspectives could solve age-old problems? One thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same. And at the center of this cosmic controversy stood a human girl who had never intended to leave her home planet, now poised to make a case for humanity's place in the grand tapestry of galactic civilization. The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine not just Sarah's fate, but potentially the course of human history and the future of the entire galaxy. Ingenuity under pressure. The journey to the Galactic Council headquarters was a blur of hyperspace jumps and alien worlds that left Sarah Chen feeling both exhilarated and overwhelmed. As their ship approached the massive space station that housed the seat of galactic government, Sarah pressed her face against the viewport, marveling at the structure's impossible geometry. "It's beautiful," she breathed, watching as ships of all shapes and sizes docked with the station's gleaming arms. Professor Zigzags floated beside her, eye stalks swiveling to take in her reaction. "The Council Nexus is a marvel of engineering, with sections designed to accommodate every known sapient species. It is here that the fate of entire civilizations is decided." Sarah swallowed hard, suddenly very aware of the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. She wasn't just representing herself anymore, but all of humanity. As they disembarked, Sarah found herself in a cavernous arrivals hall teeming with alien life. Beings of all descriptions hurried past, some gliding on anti-gravity platforms, others slithering or undulating along specially designed pathways. A tall, willowy being with silvery skin approached them. "I am Sci-Fi, liaison to the Galactic Council," they announced in a melodious voice. "The Council awaits your presence, Sarah Chen of Earth." Sarah took a deep breath and nodded, following Sci-Fi through a series of winding corridors. Finally, they arrived at a massive set of doors that seemed to be made of living metal, constantly shifting and reforming. "Remember," Professor Zigzags whispered, "speak truthfully and from your heart. The Council values honesty above all else." The doors swung open silently, revealing a vast circular chamber. Tired seating rose in all directions, filled with representatives from hundreds of worlds. At the center was a raised platform bathed in soft light. "Sarah Chen of Earth," a booming voice announced. "Step forward and be recognized by the Galactic Council." Heart pounding, Sarah walked to the center of the platform. She looked up, meeting the gaze, or sensory apparatus, of each council member in turn. "Esteemed members of the council," she began, her voice surprisingly steady, "I stand before you today not just as an individual, but as a representative of humanity. I know that my actions on Aquarius Prime have caused great concern." "Concern?" a harsh voice interrupted. A being that looked like a cross between a praying mantis and a computer server leaned forward. "You have irreversibly altered the ecosystem of an entire planet. The long-term consequences are incalculable." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Sarah felt a moment of panic, but then steeled herself. "With all due respect, Counselor," she replied, The ecosystem of Aquarius Prime was already facing catastrophic change due to the methane storms. Our intervention, while unexpected in its results, may have saved countless lives. And what of the next time humans decide to intervene? Another voice called out. This one belonged to a being composed entirely of swirling plasma. Your species has a history of rash action and unintended consequences. How can we trust that you won't bring chaos to the entire galaxy? Sarah took a deep breath, considering her words carefully. It's true that humans have made mistakes. Our history is full of them. But it's also full of incredible achievements, moments when we've overcome seemingly impossible odds through creativity and determination. She gestured to the diverse assembly around her. Look at this council. Each of your species has faced challenges, made mistakes, learned and grown. Humanity is young compared to many of you, but we're learning. And I believe we have something valuable to offer the galactic community. A thoughtful silence fell over the chamber. Then a new voice spoke, soft, but carrying an unmistakable air of authority. And what, precisely, do you believe humanity can offer us, Sarah Chen? The speaker was a being of pure energy, their form barely contained within a shimmering force field. Sarah recognized them as the Supreme Counselor, the highest authority in the galaxy. Sarah stood tall, her voice clear and confident. Adaptability, Your Excellency. The ability to think outside established paradigms. Humans have a unique capacity to see problems from new angles, to find unconventional solutions. Yes, sometimes this leads to mistakes, but it also leads to breakthroughs. She paused, looking around the chamber once more. The galaxy is vast and full of wonders, but it's also full of challenges that affect us all. Climate change, resource scarcity, the threat of cosmic phenomena we don't yet understand. By working together, combining the wisdom and technology of established galactic civilizations with humanity's fresh perspective and innovative spirit, we could achieve things none of us could do alone. The council chamber erupted in discussion, alien voices rising and falling as they debated Sarah's words. The Supreme Counselor raised a tendril of energy, silencing the room. Your words are compelling, Sarah Chen, but words alone are not enough. If humanity wishes to join the galactic community, you must prove your worth through actions. Sarah's heart raced with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. What would you have me do, Your Excellency? The Supreme Counselor's energy form pulsed thoughtfully. There is a crisis unfolding on the frontier world of Nebula 9. A quantum singularity has formed in the planet's core, threatening to tear the world apart. Our best scientists have been unable to find a solution. If you can help resolve this crisis, it would go a long way towards proving humanity's potential value to the galaxy. Sarah's mind reeled at the enormity of the challenge. A quantum singularity. She barely understood the concept from her high school physics class. How could she possibly help with something so far beyond her knowledge? But then she remembered all she had learned at the Galactic Institute, all the incredible beings she had met. She thought of the way humans throughout history have faced seemingly insurmountable challenges and found a way forward. Sarah squared her shoulders and looked directly at the Supreme Counselor. I accept your challenge, Your Excellency. I can't promise I'll succeed, but I promise to give it everything I have. The Supreme Counselor's energy form flickered in what Sarah hoped was approval. Very well. You will depart for Nebula 9 immediately. A team of our top scientists will accompany you, but the leadership of this mission falls to you, Sarah Chen. The fate of an entire world now rests in your hands. As Sarah left the council chamber, her mind was already racing with ideas and questions. She had no idea how she was going to solve this crisis, but she knew one thing for certain: she would need to draw on every ounce of human ingenuity and determination to face the challenge ahead. Professor Zigzags fell into step beside her, eye stalks quivering with a mixture of concern and pride. Well, Sarah Chen, it seems you've managed to turn a potential disaster into an opportunity. But the real test is yet to come. Sarah nodded, a determined smile spreading across her face. Then let's get to work, Professor. We've got a planet to save. As they boarded the ship bound for Nebula 9, Sarah couldn't help but feel a thrill of excitement. This was it, humanity's chance to prove itself on the galactic stage. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she was ready to face them head-on, armed with nothing but her wits, her determination, and the unique perspective that made humans who they were. The fate of Nebula 9, and perhaps the future of humanity's place in the galaxy, now rested on her shoulders. It was time to show the universe what humans were truly capable of.